Sometimes people will try to manipulate you, to use your emotions, your weaknesses, and even your conscience for their own benefit. But there comes a stage when no one can find a way into your mind anymore. You know your boundaries. You are no longer a servant to your emotions. You are their master. That is true inner strength. Stoicism teaches us that a person's greatest fortress is their mind and their ability to rule over themselves. So now let's explore together the 7 key signs that show you are too mentally strong to be manipulated. As you recognize these signs, you'll realize that mentally strong people are incredibly hard to deceive, and that this kind of character is what truly sets you apart in life. If you aren't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe and like the video. If you're ready, let's begin. 1. You observe without reacting. All of us face moments in life when an instant reaction rises within us. Someone insults us, treats us unfairly, or tries to shake us with their words. In those moments, most people respond immediately with anger, emotion, and often a loss of control. For a weak person, that's normal because they are slaves to their emotions. When someone irritates them, they flare up. When someone flatters them, they soar. Their mood depends entirely on others' behavior. But you are different. You've learned that not reacting doesn't mean being silent. It means pausing to think. You stay quiet, but your mind is active. You observe, analyze, and see the situation from the outside. That calmness creates a kind of curtain of silence, and behind that curtain, you see things clearly. A manipulator's most powerful weapon is your emotional reaction, because they know that if they can provoke your feelings, they can take control. They try to spark your anger, to push you into a defensive position. But the more you refuse to react, the faster their plan falls apart. Your calmness carries a strength, the strength of control. Silence frightens many people because in silence, they begin to hear their own thoughts, fears, and weaknesses. But for you, silence is not a sign of fear. It's a symbol of strength. The quieter you remain, the more control you hold. The manipulator tries to push your buttons, to provoke an emotional reaction. But you stay solid as a rock. That confuses them because they no longer know which emotion to play with. The Stoics said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." You've understood that. Not every situation deserves a reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all, because within silence there is power. When you remain silent, your emotions settle, your mind clears, and you begin to see the truth of the situation. You understand that observing without reacting isn't passivity, it's an active decision. You choose to control the situation rather than let it control you. This mindset protects you from manipulation and unnecessary conflict. If someone tries to provoke you, just observe them. Ask yourself, what emotion are they trying to trigger in me? Where will this feeling lead me? If the answer leads you away from your values, then it's not worth reacting. Every time you stay silent, you grow stronger. It's not weakness, it's discipline, the mark of inner order. Because if you can control yourself, no one else can control you. And reaching that level takes deep wisdom. Remember this. The one who reacts loses control, but the one who observes gains power. Staying calm, stepping back, breathing, and then acting. It may look quiet, but within that silence lies the strength of an empire. You've reached a stage where no one can manipulate you, because no one can enter your mind without your permission. 2. You don't try to please everyone. Most people confuse being kind with trying to please everyone. They think that if everyone likes them, they must be a good person. But that's an illusion. The desire to please everyone hides a deep fear, the fear of rejection, criticism, or not being loved. And manipulators know exactly how to use that fear. They know that if you're afraid to say no, you're easy to control. A little pressure, a little emotional play, and you quickly agree. Because you don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to look like the bad person. But a mentally strong person behaves differently. They know that saying no isn't an act of cruelty. It's an act of setting boundaries. They don't try to please everyone because they understand that it's impossible. Every time you give up your principles just to please someone else, you lose a small piece of yourself. Over time, those pieces add up, and one day, you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you've become. A strong person never allows that. They listen more to their conscience than to other people's opinions. If a decision goes against your values, it won't truly serve you. It will only please those who want to control you. Think for a moment. A friend calls and asks for help, but you're exhausted and still haven't finished your own work. If you say no, they might feel upset. But if you say yes, you'll force yourself, and inside you'll feel uneasy. You'll help, but deep down there will be quiet resentment and fatigue. And afterward, you'll think, why do I always sacrifice my comfort so others can feel okay? It's a simple situation, but it holds a deep truth. Every time you say yes, when you want to say no, you step a little further away from your own boundaries. And with time, those small steps lead you far from your center. That's exactly what manipulators want, for you to think about them, not yourself. But you're different now. You know that saying no is sometimes the same as saying yes to yourself. You understand that not everyone will like you or understand you, and that's perfectly fine, because you no longer build your life around others' happiness. You build it around your own balance. The Stoics said only one person has the right to rule over you, yourself. And that is where true freedom begins. Now, instead of worrying about who might get upset, you see who's trying to manipulate you. You realize that genuine relationships aren't built on constant agreement, but on honesty. A person who truly cares about you will understand your no, because they respect your boundaries. Once a Stoic philosopher was asked, "How is it that you can't please everyone, yet you always seem at peace?" He replied, "Because when I stay true to myself, I no longer need to explain myself to anyone." You've reached that stage too. You no longer feel shaken when someone gets offended. You know who truly matters in your life. Your values are your compass, and your no is your shield. Remember this: trying to please everyone won't make you loved. It will make you tired, drained, and lost. But staying true to yourself, keeping your boundaries, even if it upsets some people, will make you free. And a free person cannot be manipulated. 3. You are not controlled by guilt. One of the manipulator's favorite weapons is guilt. They know that if they can't control you directly, they can still reach your conscience. You've changed. You've forgotten me. You're not the person you used to be. You're not a good person anymore. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? These words make you pause, because you're a kind and conscientious person. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to disappoint people. But that same compassion can become an opportunity for manipulation. The manipulator knows that to steer you in their direction, all they need to do is play the guilt card. Imagine you've helped someone for years, but one day you realize they've only been using your kindness. You decide to take a step back, and immediately they start saying, "You've really changed. You don't care about me anymore. Was I ever important to you?" Inside, one part of you wants to stay calm, while another part feels guilty because you hear the pain in their voice. But Stoic wisdom teaches this: true love never makes you feel guilty. If a relationship exists only by pressuring your conscience, it's not a healthy one. Because every time guilt is used to steer your emotions, that's just another form of manipulation. You see this clearly now. You understand that living under guilt kills your freedom of thought. Each time you suppress yourself just to avoid hurting someone's feelings, you move further away from who you truly are, and that distance slowly disconnects you from your values. A mentally strong person knows that conscience speaks quietly. It doesn't scream. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't control you. It guides you gently, calmly, and honestly. But the manipulator's voice is different. It frightens, pressures, and makes you feel indebted. And now you can tell the difference between those two voices. You know that a sincere conscience sets you free, while false guilt chains you down. That's why you no longer make decisions out of fear, but out of understanding. You still help others, but not at the cost of losing yourself. You are compassionate, but you are no longer open to manipulation. The fourth sign is this: you are not afraid of criticism. For many people, criticism is a painful word. The moment they hear it, their defense mechanisms activate. They start explaining, proving themselves, or even attacking back. Because in their mind, criticism equals a personal attack. For a weak person, criticism feels like a stone thrown at their identity. But for a strong person, criticism is a mirror. And even if that mirror shows something unpleasant, they don't look away. They understand that true self-awareness doesn't come only from kind words, but also from uncomfortable truths. Manipulators know this difference very well. That's why they use criticism as a weapon. They want to break your confidence, make you doubt your own strength. Their main tactic is to keep you under the feeling of not being good enough. Imagine this. You make a decision you truly believe is right. Then someone says, "You're always wrong. You just think you're so smart." If you're insecure inside, those words will shake you. You'll start questioning yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am wrong. And at that moment you lose control. But a mentally strong person sees through this game. They listen to criticism, but they analyze the intention behind it. Is this meant to help me grow or to control me? If the criticism is genuine, they accept it, reflect, and improve. But if it's toxic, they simply smile and stay silent. The Stoics used to say, if someone criticizes you and they are wrong, why be angry? If they are right, why be upset? This mindset gives you tremendous freedom, because you begin to see that criticism doesn't lower your worth. It simply tests your perspective. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself from every opinion. You know that not every thought deserves a reaction. A strong person can tell the difference. Sincere criticism helps you grow. Toxic criticism simply tests your balance, and you've learned to separate the two. If a critique improves you, accept it. If it only tries to silence or devalue you, let it go. Remember, not everyone who criticizes you is your enemy. Sometimes criticism reveals the strength you haven't yet seen in yourself. But sometimes it's the fear of those who don't want you to rise. Once you understand that difference, no words can harm your spirit. Because at that moment, criticism no longer frightens you. It shapes you. Fifth sign, you do not find silence frightening. Many people can't handle silence. When a room goes quiet, they instantly reach for their phone, play music, or start talking. Because silence is a mirror, and in that mirror, they hear the sound of their own thoughts, fears, and emptiness. But you're different. You don't run from silence. You listen to it, because you know silence is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It gives you space to understand yourself. In those quiet moments, you step away from the chaos that manipulators create. Because manipulation hates silence. It wants reaction. It wants you to argue, explain, defend. But you simply stay quiet. And your silence confuses them, because no one can control a calm mind. Your silence grows louder than their words. It exposes their own guilt, fear, and insecurity, but because they can no longer control you. Silence, once a mystery, has become your strength. Once a Japanese monk was asked, "Why do you speak so little?" He smiled and replied, "Because silence says a lot, but few can truly listen. You are already one of those few. Silence for you is not an escape, it's strength. In those quiet moments, you find your balance, you observe your feelings, realign your thoughts. Sometimes the most powerful response is to say nothing at all, because silence carries a message. I hear you, but you can't drain my energy. That silence protects you. It keeps you away from manipulation, emotional games, and meaningless confrontations, because your inner calm is stronger than their chaos. Remember, a silent person is not weak. They simply understand the value of every word. When you remain silent, there's no one left who can break your energy. The sixth sign: you don't make decisions based on other people's emotions. Most people mistake adjusting their behavior to others' feelings for empathy, but often it's just an emotional trap. And manipulators know this well. They try to control you not through logic, but through your emotions. Sometimes they use fear. If you lose me, you'll be alone. Sometimes they use guilt. Is this how much I mean to you? And sometimes they use love as a weapon. If you really loved me, you'd do this for me. But now, you're at a level where you can see through all these games. You understand others' emotions, but you're not a prisoner of them. That's a profound difference, because empathy is feeling another's pain. Manipulation is using that pain against you. Imagine an ocean. The waves are other people's emotions: anger, fear, guilt, pressure. But you no longer drown in those waves. You're like a ship. The waves may shake you, but they don't change your direction. Your compass is guided by your principles. The Stoics used to say, "We suffer not because of events themselves, but because of the meaning we attach to them." The same principle applies here. Someone might shout at you, try to make you feel guilty, but you already know that's not your burden to carry. You cannot control their feelings, but you can control your response. Marcus Aurelius beautifully captured this in his writings. "Today I shall meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, angry, and unpleasant, but I will not let their nature determine mine." That is the formula of emotional freedom. You don't change your path based on others' behavior. You stay true to your principles, because you know emotions are temporary, but values are permanent. True strength is the ability to feel another person's emotions and still make your decisions with reason. When you reach this level, no one can control you through emotional games. You can feel, but you are not enslaved by those feelings. This is the peak of Stoic thinking, a state of a calm, clear, and free mind. Finally, the seventh sign is this: you stay true to your values. The strongest person is the one who remains the same, even when everything around them changes. In this world, everyone will want something from you. Some will want your approval, others your silence. Some will praise you to get what they want more easily, while others will criticize you to break your spirit. But you've already realized something important. The only thing that protects you in all these storms is your values. Stable principles are your invisible shield. They protect you from all forms of manipulation, because every manipulator's game is built on instability. One day they flatter you, the next day they make you feel guilty. But you don't change, because for you, the idea of what's right does not shift according to what others think. You don't ask, "What will people say?" You ask, "Does this align with my conscience?" Imagine yourself like a tree, deeply rooted. The wind blows, the rain falls, leaves scatter, but your roots remain firm. Those roots are your values. If you change direction with every passing wind, one day you won't even know who you are anymore. But when you stay true to your values, you maintain inner stability in every situation. The Stoics called this inner constancy. Epictetus once said, "If you remain true to your values, no one can ever degrade you." Because a manipulator's power depends entirely on your lack of principles. But your principles draw a clear line, and they make no a calm, natural response. At this level, a person exists beyond the reach of manipulation. Because they no longer seek validation from others, they listen instead to the quiet voice of their own conscience. They understand that others can try to change their tone, but staying loyal to one's values is what truly sets a person free. And that freedom is the final stage of mental strength. You are no longer driven by fear or by the desire for approval. By staying loyal to your values, you've become silent, steady, and unshakable. So remember, protecting yourself from manipulation isn't just about setting boundaries. It's about becoming strong enough that no one can control your mind. Your mind is your sanctuary. If you choose not to let someone enter, that is not weakness, it is wisdom. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it so that these Stoic teachings can reach more people seeking clarity and strength. Your support truly matters. See you in the next video.